It is now time for Ring the Bell Radio, a wrestling podcast.
It's the most erotic thing I've ever seen. Hello, everybody. I'm not JD. That's right. You came here to listen to King Logan, so you're getting all of him today, including the intro. Why am I doing the intro? I can only surmise that JD's a lazy bastard. But the truth is, you came for me, so you're going to get all of me. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Ring the Bell Radio, a wrestling podcast. With me, King Logan, and my esteemed colleague to my left or right, depending on what way I'm looking, DJ Barris. That's where you say hello, DJ.
What's going on there, King?
Yeah, okay, good. Let's move on. And of course, we've got JD there. Okay.
Am I allowed to talk?
Well, okay, right. Enough out of you. Enough
Okay.
out of you. Jesus Christ! Talk people's ears off. My God. Let's get down to brass taxes. Okay. Get into the show. We're going deep into this one. We have a guest on tonight's show. Can we guess who it is?
It's Geraldo.
It's the Great Muda.
You are both incorrect. It is,
Britt
in fact,
Baker.
The Undertaker.
Really?
God, I wish.
Oh, jeez. That
I
wasn't
thought you
nice.
pulled it off.
That wasn't nice.
Right?
I wish it was The Undertaker. My God.
Yeah,
No.
I had all kinds of suburban commando questions to ask.
Yeah, exactly. So many things. Have you heard the new thing that everyone's calling Damian Priest? The bisexual Undertaker.
Oh, God.
Why?
Yeah, Rhea Ripley was calling it as well. Apparently he hates it. I think it's hilarious because he's a nice looking man. I mean,
But why?
Why? Well,
Yeah.
sometimes, JD, men can love men. Okay, sometimes women can love women
No shit. But I'm
That-
asking, why is they calling him the bisexual Undertaker?
because he's super hot, and men want to bang him,
Oh.
and women also want to have sexual relations with him. Ergo, bisexuality.
I thought it was going to be some sort of like really interesting reason. But
That is an interesting reason.
okay.
Relation.
Can you tell us who the guest is already before I got to take over and you lose your position here?
Oh, go ahead and take over. All right, we'll have a contest here. At the end, people, comment who did the better intro, me or me. Over to JD.
Okay, so now that all that jangering is done and the king is done
What the
waffling
hell's
on,
a jangrin?
you janger on, you waffle on, you jag off.
That's like people from Boston. They don't wear khakis. That's how they drive their car.
What?
Yeah, with the khakis.
They khaki their car?
Yeah. Where's my khakis? Give me
Car keys, Barris.
khakis.
Ah,
Think
I
of
like
that
that
Bostonian turkey.
turkeys.
Turkeys.
Yeah.
All right. Before
Oh,
let's
man.
okay, I
khaki.
got to cut the king off before our guest gets so tired and bored he leaves because and then we'll have something else to blame on the king. But ladies and peoples, he's no what DJ?
Why is it just ladies and people?
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen. Is
Okay,
that
well, what
better?
about people who don't assign gender norms to themselves?
Anyway, okay, DJ, go slap him for me.
No, that's
So-
a politically correct like statement. You got to say, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary gender
Oh, Jesus.
people.
Oh man. Okay. Anyway,
Oh, I'm not
he's
getting violent over that.
no, we're not going to get violent over that. Yeah, what's wrong with
Yeah,
you?
no.
What's wrong with you, Barris? Don't get
You
violent.
told me to go smack
Why?
him.
I did
What are
nothing.
you gonna
So,
go?
oh wait, so wait, JD wants Barris
Did-
to smack gender neutral people.
Yes,
Yes,
and I don't
yeah,
want
we're
to
just
do
going to
this.
go with it. We're just
This
going to
is
go with it.
worse
Yes.
than when we talked to Nair and he told her that, you know, oh, if you're in Pennsylvania, just talk Spanish. We hate that. Oh, they'll hate you for it. They'll hate you.
Okay,
For talking
okay.
another
Well,
You'll be
language.
so.
I noticed how that
you'll
was
get
edited out of the
white
show.
that was edited. That was edited out of the show because that could be taken way out of context. And Vinny, our guest, I just let the cat out of the bag. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So he's no stranger to our program. He's been on many times. He's come on with himself and Lance Von Erich. Vinny, they got me all out of whack now. But Vinny Barry, author of Wrestleville, volumes 1 and 2. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm glad I'm getting paid by the hour because
So Vincent,
it's good to be on here, guys. Thank you.
Yeah,
okay,
the four horsemen's returned.
yeah, I didn't think that was
Four of
funny.
us.
Yeah,
Jesus
no.
Christ.
Yeah, okay. So Vinny.
Yes.
So tell us what is new in the world of Wrestleville down there.
Well, a lot of good things going on. I've kind of. You can now find the Wrestleville podcast on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere really where you download your podcasts. I do have a YouTube channel now that I am putting clips of the show, so you get to see just like little outtakes and whatnot. You know, you won't see the whole show, but there are outtakes and just experimenting with that right now. And I released a new book, Wrestle Black Bart. It's on the career of Black Bart.
Nice.
Okay.
324 pages. Don't know how many pictures in here. There is quite a few. I'd say 40 or 50 maybe. Good amount of pictures. Covers his career from when he started in Dallas, went off to the Carolinas, Mid-South, Florida, Georgia, World Class, WWF. It's all in here, folks. Good stuff.
Now, Logan, did you hear that? Wrestle Black Bart. I'll give you 2 guesses who it's about. This is your quiz.
It's obviously about the color neutral Bart Simpson, who they call Black Bart, who's
You
also
had to ruin it. You had to ruin it.
also Black Betty's husband. Well, Black Betty, bam, bam.
So anyway, Vinny, you said
Dun, dun,
that book is available now, or is that what you said? Yes.
At Wrestleville.com.
Wrestleville.com. We're just going to ask what can we expect to read in this book? I mean, is it like your previous books where is it just short stories about, like, I know you did a various different wrestlers in your last books, but is this sort of formatted the same way, just short stories, but only about Black Bart, or is it taking you through, like you just said, he was in a different territories. Is it just taking you through his times?
Yeah, well, he takes you through his career of where you know, and some of the things that he experienced along the way. You know, there's a lot of stories of Dusty Rhodes in here. He worked with Dusty Rhodes in Florida. Matter of fact, Dusty Rhodes put the Black Bart name on him. You will read in this book that Dusty Rhodes wanted to put the Undertaker gimmick on Black Bart. However, Vince said no.
And here we are with the Undertaker 30 years later, and it could have been Black Bart.
But you know what? What I like about Black Bart is like, look, I couldn't have done what that guy did with the Undertaker gimmick.
What Mark did, yeah.
That Bart gives Mark Calloway the credit for what he did with the career. He would have liked to had that run. However, it just wasn't in the cards.
That's interesting, though. I mean, I didn't see. I just learned something from your book there. I never knew Black Bart was Dusty wanted to put the Undertaker on Black Bart. You know, just imagine. And who's to say that the Taker gimmick would even have lasted that long? I'm not saying taking anything away from Black Bart now, but who's to say it would have been 30 years later he would still be doing the Undertaker? All we know, it could have been 2 years later and it just kind of fizzled out. It could have been 5 years later, it just fizzled out. It wouldn't have had the longevity. You don't know, though. That's a big what if.
Right. Absolutely. I don't think anybody would have known that gimmick would have gone on as long as it did, right?
No. Who would have thought?
We discussed on the show as well. I mean, the only reason the Undertaker gimmick worked for so long was Mark Calloway's version of reinventing himself over and over again.
Yes.
And, for each modern era, there's a different Undertaker. And we had Nair Robles, independent wrestler, on last show. And, she said it as well. Like, you could not watch WWE for years. And then you could come back to it and be like, there's the Undertaker. Everything's okay. There's a stable person.
He was the constant.
Yeah, the constant factor in it all. But I mean, who else do you know who can really? I mean, it's been done successfully in the past as well with people changing gimmicks. But who else do you know? Someone who's so predominant could just come out and change from dude who looks like an actual Undertaker to American dude riding on a Harley. Yeah, it's just so far apart, but it works. It works because Mark Calloway made it work, and we all believed it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent here, but Black Bart. I'm gonna show my uneducated wrestling knowledge here. All I knew of Black Bart really was when he came to WWF, and I think that was that was early 90s, I think. Something like that. I remember seeing him a couple of times on WCW, because I think he had something going on with Dusty Rhodes or something. But I don't know much about the man.
Well, it was really pretty interesting story. Would have, wasn't really something that, this really did fall in my lap. I wasn't like, I have ideas or people I would like to work with or write about, right? But this one fell in my lap. And after I got to talking to him for a while, I was just really blown away by the story. He started out in Dallas and he wanted to work for Fritz. And Fritz says, well, that's not how it works. You got to go out and make a name and come back. And, he did that with Brian Adidas, as well. And so, and Brian Adias, he grew up with the Von Erich boys. He's like, if you know anything about him, he's pretty much like an honorary Von Erich, right? If you're from Dallas, that's how I think people see him. But Bart went off to the Carolinas, and he got there because George Scott was in Dallas, and he hooked him up, sent him out there, and because he knew him, they were looking for somebody with a similar gimmick, and Bart fit the bill, and he was ready to work. He went out there to Carolinas, and he put people over for years. And the interesting thing I think about Bart's career was, he was on the bottom, he went to the middle, he was down at the bottom, he went to the top, he was in the, he didn't work, stay there. He was all over the board. But what I respect about him is the fact that, no matter what his position was in professional wrestling, that he did it, right? And he did his job, and he was there, and he loved professional wrestling, and you'll hear stories of all kinds of different stories of how over they were in Florida. He talks about how There was one event where there was a riot, basically in Florida, and because somebody put their hands on a wrestler, and then all bets were off. And he talks about how him and Ron Bass were leaving a gymnasium show to go to another event, and these guys wanted to test them, and they tested them. And when they went to the next town, which was 100 miles away, those guys that tested them were in the front row of the second show. You know, so there's all kinds of stories in this book. I think people are going to enjoy. There's some, some sad stories. There's heartwarming stories. But I think what's really neat is that it just really encompasses his career. And, you know, he talks about how he wanted to, or how he was, J.J. Dillon called him up and said, this was in the early 90s when you were talking about the WWF. He says to him, he says, hey, come on up here for a 3-day tryout. He was like, hey, JJ, you know me, dude. We worked in Florida and Carolinas. I ain't coming up there for a 3-day tryout, because if I go up there and don't get hired and the Crockett's find out, I'm getting fired. Yeah. So I'm not doing that crap. He said, either I got the job or I don't. And he says, 3-day tryout. He says, I'm not taking it. I'm not going to do it.
Wow.
So he doesn't do it. Opportunities start drying up. Goes up there. The next offer, right? And he goes up there. He's getting paid decent money. However, he's not on top. He's the bottom. Matter of fact, he's, putting everybody over. On the day that they're making cuts, he has a couple meetings with Vince McMahon that day. On the last meeting that they had, Bart is walking out of the office. He's grabbing the doorknob and he's walking out. And Vince says to him, you should have came up here the first time we called. Was kind of like
because that's how much of a dick Vince was.
And Bart said, he had to do everything he could to not respond, but he walked out, and he kind of felt like he read the writing on the wall about how all that went down.
Yeah.
See, you look at Black Bart, a picture of him, and what immediately I think of, Vinny, is Blackjack. I was just like, he could have hung out with the Blackjacks or something like that. Same thing with Ron Bass, but he could have been the new Blackjack. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just reading a little excerpt here. I asked AI bot to give me a rundown on Black Bart. So here's one of the interesting facts about Black Bart. Black Bart was defeated by Tito Santana in one of his first matches. So, link to the show, as long-time listeners know, Jenny Santana is one of our other hosts that comes on sometimes. She is the daughter of Tito Santana. But it gets weirder. Another link to Ring the Bell Radio. He says he did, however, score victories over talents such as Jim Powers. See, Ring the Bell Radio is your one-stop shop where you can get all these legendary people come on, including Vinny here, and get the lowdown. It's all connected, man. It's 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, I'm telling you.
And Jim Powers actually hosted the show with us for a while.
He was a host as well.
Yeah.
See, we just collect hosts. It's great.
I was going to say, don't read something that you said about Frank in there.
Okay. It also says that if he would have fought Frank would have probably died. So there you go.
Oh boy. So ladies and gentlemen, you heard that. Logan just gave us those exquisite facts about how everything links back to this show, Ring the Bell Radio Wrestling Podcast. So if you want to get the book for Wrestle Black Bart, go to Wrestleville.com.
Yes.
Okay, Wrestleville.com is you could find that book amongst others.
That is right.
Yeah, Wrestleville Volume 1, Wrestleville Volume 2, compilation of short stories.
Yes, and Lance by Chance, Wrestling as a Von Erich.
So this is one of these things that I've been thinking about for a while. In fact, since you've been on the show the first time, you seem to produce books incredibly quickly, and I'm an author myself, and it takes me years to write anything, but I have all of your books. I'm the one who keeps them because for our audience at home, Vinny normally sends us a copy of his book. We keep it in the office. So I read your stuff. I've got hands-on, hand to God. I read your books, and you have great flow with writing. You really make the stories kind of come alive in that. I can hear that person talking, telling me that story in the way you kind of phrase it out. How do you do it? How do you do these things so quickly?
Well, I'll say this, that it is a lot of work. You got to stick with it, because the thing is a project like this, and here's the thing too. I have to get about 70-80% of it done before I start telling anybody that it's coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
That because now I know why people don't finish books, is because they're a lot of work. You hit roadblocks and everything, but it's just about being consistent. And one thing that I found out when I did Lance and how all these other guys, because I asked them the same thing, how are you producing all these books? It's like, well, because I'm working on this. As I'm working on this, if I get stuck on this one, I go back to this one. And so you're producing, right? And when I did those, the Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Wrestleville, I did the, I was writing short stories. I was continuously doing that as I was working on the Lance book. And, and that way when the Lance book was done and, someone was asking me, so what are you going to do now? You got all these short stories. Why don't you put them in a collection? And I did that. It was going to be one book, but, I didn't want to do a book that was over 400 pages, and that's why it came down to 2 volumes. I think it worked out well that way,
I enjoy it because, I don't know, I just like the design of your covers as well. They're nice looking books. A lot of time when people tell me, oh, I've published a book, like I said, I'm an author. So, I listen to people and they come along and say, I published this book. It's great. And then I get a copy of this book and it's the most generic front cover you could imagine. But your one, and I ask your audience as well, go to Wrestleville.com, look at the covers of the front of the book as well. It's some great photo work of the wrestlers that are in the books. It's very well done. It's reminiscent to me of something like WWE or WCW would do, like as a main event poster. That's the feel I got from the front of the book. So they're very well made, nice looking books as well. So definitely check out the front covers of them. Let us know how you feel. But yeah, I mean, endings of books just kill me. And it's not, I can imagine you're not just, sitting down, banging out, a recording of what these people said. I mean, are you going to meet these people in person? Are you doing this online now? I mean, do you get to hang out with them?
I've done all these. All this is via phone call. It's like, I can't tell you how many hours I had of Bart, maybe 50, 60 hours of Bart interviews.
Wow.
Just
and he was down for having a call or a Zoom that many times.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Because that's just, I mean, you think of okay, I could say you said 50, 60 hours, dude. That's a long time to be gathering information on someone,
Oh yeah,
especially talking to them. Now obviously you'd be what you would have a call and you talk to them for a couple hours at a time, right?
sure.
Yeah,
But
something
like,
like that.
but
But still, that's an amazingly amount of time that you were just talking to this person, and then you have to you're deciphering and breaking everything down to see how you want to put this into a book.
And
I don't think I would have the patience for that.
and this was challenging. Bart was a little challenging because it took me a while to connect the dots, so to speak, because the way he gave me the information, he bounced around a lot, but his career bounced around a lot, right? So, he started in Dallas. He went to the Carolinas. He went to Georgia. I think he went back to the Carolinas. He went to Mid-South. He periodically went to Dallas in between, because when he'd go home for a visit, he'd work on the undercard for Fritz, so he was just picking up, hey, I'm in town. I'm visiting my folks. Do you have any work? Yeah. You come down to the Sportatorium, do a couple opening matches, but he was employed with maybe the Crockett's at the time. And he went to Florida, and then he went to, I think, the Carolinas. And, so there was a lot of backtracking, and, it was challenging, man, to follow the string, so to speak, and finally the light bulb came on to me where it was like, I finally got this idea of how I was going to tell the story. And, but yeah, it was challenging because his career was all over the place. And sometimes I was like, hey man, you told me this story. Tell me something else. Let's stay over here. But he, like we'd be talking about Florida, he'd go over here. I said, no. Stay with me. Like
that reminds me of Jim Powers.
I was about to say exactly the same thing. Like Jim Powers, God love him, but you can literally say, so Jim, what did you do today? And you're going to get 3 decades worth of stories, and a lot of them are going to be out the Ultimate Warrior. And he'll still never answer the original question or what's not. But God, I tell you what, it's so good for like a format like ours, because you could just let it go off. I would imagine if somebody said to me, okay, well, now type out, a storied version of what Jim Powers just told you. No, I would burn my house down first, because you would be there for days trying to pull this apart. Comedy, great stuff, great talk, but yeah, so hard to do. Wow, I got so much respect for you, man.
Yeah, it was hard, man. It was challenging to say the least.
Now, here's what your next book. I'm going to give you an idea for your next book here, and it has to do with something that's happening currently. Okay, and the guys and I were speaking earlier, and we wanted to get what you thought about this, but with just having our discussion, we'd be like, this would be a good book to read about the current TNA WWE partnership right now. Okay, or what's not partnership? What are they doing? Collaboration,
yeah,
or something like that. So, how do you like what's how this is evolving, Vinny?
I think it's neat. I think
so do I.
It gives it you never, it's kind of like, oh, who's coming on, it kind of gives you the anticipation of who can be next, right? But it also kind of broadens that sport feel, right? Kind of like, do you follow me? Kind of like,
yeah.
It's.
See, here's what I got from it is, when I say this really started was last year's Rumble, where Jordan Grace came on. Okay. Before that, a couple years before that, you had Mickie James come on, so that's where the door opened, so to speak. But nothing ever went past that, if you remember. Jordan Grace comes on. Was I around your house there, Logan?
Yeah.
You knew who Jordan Grace was, yes or no?
No, I had no idea.
Okay.
And that's what shocked me, because I said to you, I know she's from TNA, because the title card when she came down from the Rumble actually said her name, so John Grace, heavyweight, TNA heavyweight world champion. Knockout champion. And I was like, wow, like WWE has literally just admitted somebody from another company is a world title holder. Like, we're not playing around anymore, kids.
Well,
like,
here's why I say this is where it started, because a few years back they did it with Mickie James, but Mickie James was a WWE person already. Okay. Yeah. And they acknowledged her as the Impact champ, and that was it. So with Jordan, they bring her down, and then I think it was Corey Graves, and I forget who the other announcer was. Didn't put her down, didn't act like, oh yeah, she's the champion, whatever. And they just went, oh, this is Jordan Grace. You can't ignore the fact that people know in Vince McMahon's world, no one knows who these are if they're not, or these people are if they weren't in WWE. Okay, that's not like that anymore.
Right, and okay. I think that's the good part, right? It's like, they're kind of accepting the fact that there is other wrestling out there.
There is, and it's one of those where people knew it, but in Vince's little world, nothing existed outside of that, right? So they talked her up. They went, this is the TNA's knockout champion. The one thing I said to y'all, I mean, Logan, that night, but both of you guys afterwards, is they didn't devalue her title.
No.
Okay, so you seen her go away for a little while, and then she started popping up. What, on NXT? I think she showed up on a SmackDown or Raw or something like that. And now what they're doing is they're doing the Jordan Grace for the last couple of weeks or something, is doing that NXT challenge or whatever it is. Okay, where she's calling someone out the challenger, and she's showing up on NXT, and then who's going to challenge me? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that or whatever? But the great thing is she was on TNA, their show, Impact, still called Impact, right? Yeah, TNA program. And then you had female WWE stars from NXT showing up on their program, which I'm going, you know what? That's cool, because there's still something about, whoa, you have someone else from another company showing up on this company. There's something there about that. You know what I mean? There's something special about that, because you don't see it all the time. And then it comes into where I think the Barris asked, how about JBL showing up on TNA? And I was just like, well, and I went, well, hey, these two companies are working with each other right now. So that's not like JBL's working somewhere else. They probably have an agreement where, and I like how they're not overdoing it. It's, hey, one of our guys is showing up on your promotion here and there. One of ours is showing up over there. And I think that's the right way to do it. I'm enjoying it that way, because it's not too much. It's sort of like, hey, we're going to do something. Oh, we're seeing a WWE diva on TNA. Okay. It happens for a few weeks, and then you don't see anything. You don't totally forget about it. And then something happens where Jordan Grace will show up on NXT again. So it kind of like, ooh, let's see what's going on here.
It's a little similar what WWE was doing with NXT, where every once in a while AJ Styles would come down to NXT, right?
Yeah.
You remember when they were doing some things like that? And I like that. I thought that was cool too. So yeah, but yes, you kind of expect that to a degree, because they are the same company. But what we're seeing with TNA and WWE, yeah, I think it's good for the business, man. And I wonder if other companies are going to start doing that too.
Vinny, I have an idea for a wrestling book I'm going to pitch to you. Okay.
Here we go. The pitch.
So here's the pitch. Okay.
And so he writes,
NXT, TNA, those companies in the future merge into a school, a wrestling school, and you're divided into houses by some sort of sorting mechanism. And the houses are actually like WWE, AEW, New Japan, and the mystery third one. And basically it's a Harry Potter ripoff from here. Okay, so you've got like, you know, factions against each other. So you follow the story of, I don't know, let's just gender swap it. Let's say Lara Potter, and she's going to train as a wrestler, and she goes to Wrestle Warts, and yeah, she trains and she joins House AEW, but she's in love. Get this, she's in love with the champion from WWE.
And then they have to face off and make these sausage meatballs.
Yes.
Damn you. Oh, hey, make sure you tell the people outside there, King, you're not having a heart attack. All right. Yeah.
He's deep in the sauce.
Do you see
Elbows
this?
deep.
Poor Shannon.
Vinny.
Yeah.
Do you see this collaboration being something that's long lasting at all? Like if keep doing something fresh, right? They have to keep refreshing it somehow.
Yeah, I think it's good. It'll be interesting to see what happens, right? Is like, you know what? I have a hard time anytime I see anything on the internet. You know, I'm skeptical of everything, right? It must be my years of news, but so correct me if I'm wrong. I saw something that, you know, Shane McMahon is going to be AEW, right? Yeah, they do. Somebody comes on AEW for, you know, whatever, and they're all elite. And then is he really all elite? You see all these little.
Oh, that's their gimmick. That's their gimmick. So and so is all elite. You know.
Yeah, but and then you never see him again, and then they were not all elite. But my thing is when I was reading about this, you know, there was rumors that, you know, the McMahons were going to take over AEW, and they're putting him in as the mole and all this. And well, how do we know that's not happening with TNA? I mean, who knows? I don't even know what to believe anymore.
Greatest like storyline ever. It would be amazing. That would win you an Emmy if you could pull that off.
I think Tony Khan needs a reality check over there in AEW. You know, what was it you said, Logan? He's realized this is real life. He's not playing with his wrestling figures or something.
Yeah, I mean, because that's how he treats it. I mean, I don't get me wrong. Some of the talent in AEW, some of the story they do, is very impactful, and I like it. But there's a lot to AEW which is just boring nonsense to me.
How much do you guys watch AEW? All of you.
Like, I maybe catch one show a month, and then highlights through like YouTube and stuff like that.
I know Barris watches it, right?
Yeah, I watch it, or I watch the highlights. You know, either or when I'm DJing, my boss lets me put it on TV. So.
Yeah. Now, Vinny, do you watch AEW pretty much, or no?
I do not.
Okay, so from the time now, I never watched it religiously. I would watch it here and there. I mean, it wouldn't be one of those where I'm just like, oh, let me watch the highlight. I would be consistently, I would be throwing, I mean, sure, I'd be a few weeks behind or something, but I'd be throwing the episodes on, watching them. Some weeks I would be doing nothing but highlights. But here's what I noticed. And this happened to TNA a number of years ago. I think AEW they missed their chance. Okay. They were at a point where, wow, this is really taking off. This is really going to be something. And I think what happened is they missed their chance on it, and everything kind of plateaued now. You can only go up for so long, and then it kind of plateaued where I don't think AEW is going to be anything more than what they are right now.
What I saw, and I do probably the clips and YouTube, highlights like Barris was saying. That's probably what I do now. However, there was a time I was engaged, right?
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But I think what I had the problem with was I got to see a lot of people who I normally didn't get to see on TV, and I got to see them, but then I didn't see them again. Where I was thinking, hey, wow, this is a pretty good matchup. And then I never saw those people again. But then there was some random stuff that was like, I remember I was watching one time, and I don't even do this, was in the very beginning, but all these wrestlers that I didn't know who they were, it reminded me of WCW days when this big old like mob of wrestlers came out and they did that in AEW. Does this ring a bell?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, and what happened with that? Where did that storyline go? Because I don't remember seeing anything like that following that.
See, I think AEW is Tony Atlas said this about himself. AEW got too much too soon. Okay, they started, and then they get on TV, right? At first, it was what, like networks, like a special every couple of months. They would have a wrestling event on or something on network TV. Then it turned into they have the TV deal. Okay, they're going to be on what a certain night of the week. Then all of a sudden, it's, hey, we have another TV show. We have another TV show. We have another TV show. And next thing you know, they have what, 4 or 5 TV shows. And they're throwing so much at you. How I took it is it's like remember what they did with the Rock when he was Rocky Maivia? Vince was trying to shove this character down everyone's throat and everyone's faces, saying, you will like this, and you're going to cheer for them. And everyone started to boo Rocky, hence Rocky sucks, and then he turns into the heel, and then, that's sort of what I look like as AEW. Tony Khan is shoving it in front of me going, you will like this. Well, you know what? It's okay, but I'm not going to be tuning in every week. I'll catch it if I want to catch it, or I'll catch it when I can. But like you said, Vinny, hey, these wrestlers were great this week. Then you'd never see them again, or you'd never hear about this storyline again, or you'd never see XYZ or hear about them mentioned again.
All right, I'm going to swoop in, and as rare as it may be, I'm going to defend AEW.
I didn't say there's anything wrong with it. I just said that was me. It's like, it's like they were forcing me to like them.
Everything you just said, WWF did to you when you were 8 years old, but you thought it was the balls coolest thing in the universe. How many primetime shows did WWF have?
Okay, hold on. One, primetime wrestling. They had one during the week and 2 or 3 over the weekend, but that was the only thing available though at the time. It's not like now where you had TNA, New Japan, Ring of Honor. I mean, I'm not saying there weren't other promotions available then, but they weren't. I could not see them here in Pittsburgh. I couldn't see Texas wrestling or Georgia wrestling.
Yes, you could.
I'm saying I never saw them.
Yeah, because
I'm not saying you couldn't get them. I never saw them.
But put it in this
on ESPN and stuff.
Did you have ESPN in 1989 at your house?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Oh.
See, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it wasn't around. I couldn't see them. So it was only WWF. That was the only game in town, so to speak.
Okay,
to answer your question.
So for you personally, it's because you couldn't see other products.
Yes.
So it was okay that WWF did it to you then.
They were the only game in town. We hardly would see WCW until we actually got cable.
On that sold drugs, and the only ones that you had was meth. So I had to buy them.
Yeah, you had to.
Yeah.
You see what they do to me, Vincent?
All right, think about what you said.
Can I go back somewhere though? Let me go back.
Yeah.
when you were saying that Vince was cramming Rocky Maivia down our throats, they did the same with Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Right. And now, everybody loves Roman Reigns, right? I mean,
I didn't at first, and then it wasn't until some years went by where Logan, I think it was year number 3 of the title reign, right? No,
I got.
Oh,
Wait,
you guys hated Roman.
I hated
Reigns.
Roman for years.
That's what I was saying, Barris. We hated him.
I stood by my tribal chief. I stood by my tribal chief.
And then one day,
calm down, take a shot.
Calm down. And I'm not going to say we hated him.
Yeah, baby.
And then all of a sudden, Logan and I look at each other. I think this is the beginning of year 3 of his title, and we went, kind of digging what Roman's doing now.
No,
all of a sudden we like him.
The exact point when I knew that I liked Roman Reigns was when Paul Heyman became the wise man.
Oh, yeah.
The minute that happened, the whole dynamic of who Roman Reigns was changed, and it became this fantastic heel dictator, and it was an amazing storyline. It just took the right combination, the right fuel to kick it off, and Paul Heyman was that fusion, basically. But I mean, like, getting back to the AEW thing, you look at AEW now, they have this thing I was reading the other day. It's called the Jericho Vortex. And basically, a new wrestler will come on the scene, and, he's popular, and he's going up there, and then he fights Jericho, and Jericho beats him. And then he isn't seen again for like 2 months, 3 months. And literally, they're like, that's all AEW does, is they just throw these kids at the Jericho Vortex. And it got so bad that Chris Jericho actually turned it into a character that he now plays. It's a genius move by Jericho. Worked great. But that's the thing, is each company does the exact same thing. Everything you have said about AEW when you were going through this, WWF/E did exactly the same things, had exactly the same missteps, you would go to the product in 92 to 94, the beginning of the new generation era.
Well, they're shoving Undertaker in front of you every time they could, and they're saying you're going to like or hate this guy.
Exactly. It's the same
and what
thing.
Did you do?
I loved him.
I wanted
more of him. Yeah, because it worked for me as well. But when WCW came around, there was another product for me. Now, remember, it's different for me. I'm in a country where the only wrestling you get is the ones that they provide for you, and it's not in order. So you may have the end of a storyline be broadcast first, and then a week later, you got the beginning of it, and you're like, didn't he just beat him up last week? What happened here? So we got disjointed product facsimile, but we also got all of the WWE shows that they had on, and that included all of the update shows, which there were like 5. And then when the internet started to come out, you had shows on the internet straight away because they tried to move into as much media as they could. WWF is guilty for the exact same things that AEW is doing or has done.
I'm not saying they didn't. But I'm just saying that's what it felt like to me now. Okay, it's just it goes back to the too much too soon. It's like what they did with the Rocky Maivia and Roman Reigns. They were just shoving it right in front of you. That's how I felt. You could disagree with me all you want. I don't care.
Oh, I'm going to disagree. Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you. That's fine. You can have your opinion, but
can I chime in again?
Absolutely, go for it, Vinny. Yeah,
please do to shut him up.
Well, no, it's not. I can see the argument. However, if you look at, don't you think that the experience that Triple H has is definitely showing itself? Because look, if you're going to put Tony Khan up against Triple H, my money's on Triple H.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and also too is like, okay, we talked about this. It looked like Rainbow Bright threw up at NXT, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was shocked when I saw that, and I was like,
2.0.
it's not even the same.
No,
right?
I didn't like
But-
it. I didn't like it.
Nope.
But then comes back in, and what's he do? He takes it back to the way that it was when it was working, and what it's working now. I mean, come on, the guy he knows what he's doing. So, I think what Triple H is doing with TNA, I think what Triple H is doing with the WrestleMania cards and the programming as a whole, the way he's using the talent, it's pretty awesome. Oh, and hey, did you guys see that that match with Nia Jax and Jade Cargill?
I did not.
Was that on SmackDown?
Yeah, it was on SmackDown, and I thought Nia Jax was going to kill her.
The funny thing is,
Well-
I haven't watched it. I had the grandkids all weekend, so I didn't get to watch it.
I haven't watched it yet either.
Yeah, but I tell you
Yeah.
what, I'll be happy with that because Jade Cargill is just awesome.
No, he
Yeah,
said
but-
he thought Nia was
No.
going to kill her. He thought Nia
Yeah,
Jax
it's-
was going to kill her.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
like,
not
for real, 'cause-
so so hurty.
She hurts
She's what?
people.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
That really did look. And that brings me to my other thing I want to air with you guys is like, okay, the stuff that happened like with CM Punk and I've talked about this many times, CM Punk and Jack Perry, and then the stuff with MJF and Britt Baker that came out. I mean, the lines are so blurred. I don't even know. To me, it's wrestling, right? But they're making a big deal like, oh, we got conflict and we got to get HR and all this shit. It's wrestling, dude.
Wrestling. See, and here's the
Right.
other thing is nowadays you don't know what's a work and what's real anymore when it comes to stuff like that. How do we know there wasn't some sort, think of like the Montreal screw job. Vince and only certain people were in the know, right? You could count them on one hand how many people were in the know with the screw job. How do you know with what you just said, Tony Khan wasn't okay? Only these these wrestlers and myself, you, and you know this is going to happen, but we have to act like we didn't. You know, how do we know that?
Yeah. Hey,
How do we know that wasn't the biggest work there was?
Who was it? It was Gold Dust and Roddy Piper. Somebody got hit by a car.
Yeah.
Was HR called on that one?
No. No, because that was a part of the show. That was the Backyard Brawl, WrestleMania 12, Gold Dust versus Roddy Piper. Okay. Yeah, no, because it was part of the show. It was wrestling.
WrestleMania did you guys have me watch? What WrestleMania was that?
Logan's favorite WrestleMania, WrestleMania 11.
Oh,
yes.
God.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
yeah.
Can I get that
Greatest
2 hours and
WrestleMania
45 minutes
ever.
back, please?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the
Oh, my
refund
God.
of my time as well, mate.
Oh, hey, Vinny,
Like-
Vinny, I kept telling, because the only reason we did that is we had was it 2 fans, I think, guys, asked us to talk about WrestleMania 11, and it was over in a span of like a month and a half. We got 2 fans that asked us, hey, can you talk about WrestleMania 11? We were like, all right. And that's where we asked you, hey, we're going to be talking about WrestleMania 11. Do you want to come on? And I think we told you this, Vin, that I was like, I kept telling Logan, this is the worst WrestleMania there ever was. He didn't believe me.
None.
No. And guess
No.
what happened, Logan?
This is what happened, okay? My best friend, the man that I have known and loved for 20 years, the man that I stood next to him when he got married, you know?
Yeah.
That man who knows the depths of my soul, okay, said to me, it's not like, it's funny, you'll like it. It's kind of bad.
Bullshit.
No,
I said it's
right,
the worst
this is what
WrestleMania
happened.
that ever happened.
If the roles were reversed, mate, and I knew it was your first time experiencing that garbage, I would have said, JD, No. And you would have been like, oh, it can't be that bad. And then I would have broken your kneecaps. So you couldn't get up to watch it, all right?
We did it for the show. We did it for the show. Yeah.
God awful. I can't
Thanks,
tell
Vinny, for bringing that horrible, great memory up.
Oh, Vinny.
It was bad. Dude, it was bad.
God,
no, what did you... Okay, I'm going to say one thing, and then we're going to stop talking about that WrestleMania, is we agreed with you on this, Vinny. It could have... It should have been. It could have been. It had the potential. Your words, Vinny. It had the potential to be a great WrestleMania. Because look at the card. We even said it. Look at what the card
matches on paper.
I'm going to look at the remind me. I'm going to remind myself of the card again, and because there was a couple I thought was good. Isn't that the one that Bam Bam Bigelow lost to the football player?
Lars Taylor, LT.
Yep.
Oh, that was the one that after the
no.
That was the one happened. The one that after the championship match happened, I went, Logan. We still got one more. Oh, it was terrible.
That was, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the Bob Backlund Hitman I Quit match.
Oh my gosh.
Done by Rowdy Piper. I'm going to tell you what the match was. It was 25 minutes of Rowdy Piper. You quit, Hart. Come on now. You quit. You come back on. You quit.
It wasn't 25 minutes. It was 9 minutes and 34, but it felt like 25.
It felt like 25 minutes.
It's like shut up. Just shut up. And let them wrestle, because on paper that match would be phenomenal.
It should have.
The Undertaker and the King Kong Bundy could have been a whole lot better too.
Yeah. Well, there's not really much you could do there. I mean, Bundy was well past his limit, especially his knees. So I mean, I'm not claiming it's a good match at all, but what they did was what they were going to get away with.
It is what it was. What it was.
Yeah, I mean, you see, like when a giant is coming to the end of his career, because most of his matches are him sitting in the corner, doing one power move, then sitting in the corner. Because they just don't have the physicality to do it anymore, and it's sad to watch. But you can see it with the great Khali. He just became basically walking zombie, throwing his arms around because he couldn't do anything else.
But King Kong Bundy was like 38, man.
Yeah, but he
super old either. Yeah,
at that time. he had gigantism, or I can't remember what the actual word is for it.
King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, he had part of the gene for it. That's why he was so big.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know he had that. I just thought he was huge.
He's a huge dude.
I didn't know that.
He wasn't like the Big Show size, but look at like how you see the big dudes like that, especially Big Show. He's a prime example. They were shaped the same way. Took Big Show like massive amounts of time to get the physique he had now. Otherwise, it just kind of became fat, like King Kong Bundy. So crazy stuff. Anyway,
so thank you, Vinny, for bringing up that great WrestleMania memory.
It's just a terrible WrestleMania. It is terrible.
Remind me to send you an extra nice Christmas card for that one.
I would have never watched it.
I didn't want to watch it again.
2 lives ruined.
Yes, DJ.
2 lives ruined.
Yes,
DJ.
Hey, weren't the Beverly Brothers on that show?
No.
Oh no, it wasn't the Beverly Brothers.
It was the Blue Brothers.
It was with the Genius.
No, yes. You know what? Hold on. It was the Allies of Power, right?
No, that was against the Blue Brothers. Jacob and
Bishop
the
Blue Brothers. Yeah, Jacob and Eli.
Eli, what did I say? Bishop. Eli. No Beverly Brothers.
I just wanted the Beverly Brothers plug. That's all.
I hate the Beverly Brothers like you don't believe, Vinny. I can't say
one of the greatest tag teams ever.
Bull propaganda.
But Vinny,
they were super safe.
Getting back to Vinny's books here. Okay. We're giving them book ideas. We're giving them book ideas here.
Please go to Wrestleville.com. purchase Black Bart. Black Bart's not doing very well. He's battling cancer, so proceeds will definitely help him. So please
go to help him.
Go to Wrestleville.com. He appreciates it. I do have some signed copies that you can order as well. Hey, and then also too, me and Deshaun Whipple. He I don't know if you guys are familiar with his show out of he's out of Detroit. However, he and I just did top 25. He did mainstream wrestlers. I did independent wrestlers.
Okay.
And you can catch that podcast on my show and his show, and also I'll put something on YouTube. Probably the top 5 of my independent wrestlers.
Cool. I'm going to have all that information in the comments sections below. But I do want to jump back real quick to something you said, Vinny, about Triple H. And, don't we think, it's the product is doing so much better with him in charge? Yeah, I couldn't agree 100% more. 100% more. We had a glimmer of what this was going to look like a few years ago when McMahon retired. Okay. Right. And then it went back to the norm.
Yes.
When he came forced back, himself.
Yeah. And the product started to slow down again, and it just became boring and just monotonous to watch. And then he leaves again. Triple H is in charge, and it's the boom period. I mean, it's crazy how mainstream wrestling has just gone. People I know who know nothing about wrestling know who Rhea Ripley is, know who Charlotte Flair is. It's crazy stuff. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that I'm all about naming things. Okay. So I like that they name the different eras in wrestling. So apparently the next one's going to be called the streaming era, because it's going to be on Netflix. I would say they need to call it the Paul Levesque era, because the product is mind-bogglingly great since he took over. Get Stephanie back in the game. Come on, let's get to work again. Boom.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've always, here in Texas, if you're a Cowboys fan, they say one person needs to be fired from that team, and it's Jerry Jones. And that's the same thing in WWE. It's like, it really was time that Vince stepped down, because sometimes I think he can be doing a job too long.
Definitely.
So we'd like to thank Vinny for coming on and joining us on the show, telling us about his new book, Wrestling Black Bart. And he also has Wrestleville Volume 1 and 2 and Lance by Chance, Wrestling is Vol and Eric, all available at Wrestleville.com. And he also has a podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
And so the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yes. And a new YouTube channel. You'll get to see excerpts. They're not very long videos. Some of them 5-10 minutes, couple minutes. I think the longest is 20, but don't do too much of that. But just branching out, trying different things, doing different stuff. So it's a slow grow for Wrestleville, but we are still Wrestleville had one employee, but he quit because he said he could make more money playing video games.
Okay. So
the sad thing about that is these days it's true. It's probably true.
Probably true.
That kid's probably earning $1 million a year now, shooting 12-year-olds on some game online. Crazy, man.
Such violence there, Logan.
Yay.
So, yes, Wrestleville.com. Check out his books.
Thank you, guys. Thank you as always.
Thank
you for coming on, man. It's always a hoot when you're about. We have a good laugh.
Oh, it's a few laughs. Yeah, at my expense, it looks like this time, which is okay, because usually we make fun of Barris all the time. So, we're good. And we do. That's true, too. Yeah, usually we're the one making fun of Barris. So, Yeah. So, Logan, anything else you want to ask Vinny before we tell him he's allowed to leave?
I have a book plug for you.
Oh God.
No, this one's a real one.
Is that a real one? It's not going to be about.
It's right up your alley.
Oh,
right,
no.
Vinny. It's going to be the next bestseller. Okay. Who, out of all the wrestlers in the company, all the staff, who has got the inside scoop on what's really going on in the ring? Ex-referees, retired referees. I bet you could get some wicked stories out of that. Some great stories. Oh yeah, like Bret Hart went down and I checked him and he was out cold and I didn't know what to do and people shouting in my ear. Like that would be great to read. All these stories from people all the way back up to now. That's what I think anyway. $1 million idea.
$1,001 idea.
There you go.
There you go.
I'll put in
so
the
anyway.
$1.
You'll put in the $1. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's
Someone's
Vinny
gonna
Barry.
write this book now, and it's going to be amazing. And all of us are going to be like, "Oh, remember that time we could have been super rich with Vinny?" About the referee book. And no, it didn't happen. One of our listeners listened to the show and wrote it themselves. By the way, copyright Ring the Bell Radio, King Logan production.
I was going to say I was about to do the same thing. But anyway, okay. So that's Vinny Barry, author at Wrestleville, Wrestleville.com. Go check out his books. Go check out his podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Ring the Bell Radio, a wrestling podcast with King Logan, DJ Barris, myself, JD, and our special guest, Vinny. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. If you'd like to send us an email, if you'd like to send DJ your hate mail, ringthebellradio@gmail.com, because DJ loves his hate mail. Unless your name's Jackson, don't even bother sending it. You know who you are. Other than that, so our liege, our king. You have
I'm done.
You're done? You're done?
Yeah,
okay.
Come on, close out the show. Jesus.
Okay. All right. Jeez, you're just being mean.
You're just going around in circles. I'm going to close out the show.
Thank you.
I opened it. I'll close it out.
Close it.
Listen, we're done. You can press stop now.